Cardi B walked off the floor at Madison Square Garden and the whole internet lost its mind. Not over the bars. Not over the pyro. Not over the Knicks. Over something a side-angle camera caught the second she turned her back, and within 45 minutes, that clip had nuked her name across every timeline on the planet. This wasn't a halftime show. This was a detonation. And the fallout? Bigger, uglier, and 1,000 times more calculated than the gossip pages are letting on. Because what looks like the most savage public dragging of 2026 is actually something else entirely, and once I show you the pattern, you'll never look at a viral L the same way again. And the comments section? The same comments section that thought it was burying her this week? Bro, y'all really thought you were the audience. Y'all were the marketing budget. Sit with that one. Before we get into it, like, subscribe, don't miss it, nah. Belcalis Almánzar, Cardi B herself, took the floor at Madison Square Garden during halftime of Game 3 of the NBA Finals, the Knicks versus the San Antonio Spurs, performing Bodega Baddie off Am I the Drama? And her breakout anthem Bodak Yellow. The date, June 8, 2026. The location, MSG, courtside packed, sold out, every A-lister in the tri-state in those seats. The clip hit Instagram, X, and TikTok within minutes of her exit, and a side-angle phone video, not the league's broadcast feed, became the version everybody started reposting. Now mind you, this was supposed to be her victory lap appearance, tied to her ongoing album cycle and a marquee East Coast moment. The opposition, meaning the same comment section mob that's been camping out under her posts for years, clearly didn't think through what they were about to hand her. Now let's pull up the actual receipts that show exactly why this whole drag is the setup, not the punchline. Let's start with the word straight from her mouth, because before y'all let the internet write her story, let me show you what she's already told us, on camera, on record, with her chest. On her own Instagram reel posted in late 2025, Cardi straight up announced she was scrapping the butt reduction procedure she had publicly teased earlier in the year. She said, and I'm quoting, "I'm not getting it removed no more. I changed my mind. I'm keeping it." Yo, when I heard this, I had to rewind it twice. Because that one line. That wasn't a beauty update. That was a whole mission statement. That was her telling the world she was done renting space inside the surgery discourse. People glossed over it. I didn't. Then you go back to her Billboard sit-down, where Cardi confirmed she's planning to drop another full album in 2026, and explicitly said she's not releasing a deluxe of Am I the Drama? Her exact framing was that she's moving forward, not repackaging the past. Real talk, I read that 3 times. Because that's a woman telling you a brand new rollout is already in motion. Not a maybe. A confirmed pipeline. Now flip back to the Today Show, years ago, but it matters here, when Cardi warned her own fans, on camera, about the dangers of BBL surgery. She said, "You could get sick from it, you could die." I'm not gonna lie, that part hurt to watch again knowing where the conversation is now. Because she's been waving the red flag on this from the jump. Anybody acting shocked she pulled out of the DR trip wasn't listening. On a more recent IG Live this past spring, Cardi told her audience, and this is a paraphrase from a quote that got screenshotted to death, that she's tired of being talked about for my body. Talk about my bars. When I read that, I had to do a triple take. Because that's not a vent. That's a directive. That's an artist publicly telling the industry where she wants the conversation to land, and the industry, predictably, did the opposite. And here's the receipt nobody wants to bring up. Yahoo's recap of the actual MSG performance flat out called it a headline-making halftime and zoomed in on the Bodega Baddie moment from her current album. Vocally, performance-wise, the girl delivered. That's documented. That's not even up for debate. Listen, I've been doing this for years. When a major outlet uses headline-making in a halftime recap, that's industry code for this moved numbers. And it did. One more. From an interview earlier in her Am I the Drama? Press cycle, Cardi told reporters her goal was to be taken seriously as a businesswoman and an executive, not just a performer. Bro, that line right there. That's where the mainstream missed the whole plot. Because she literally told you what era she was about to walk into. Y'all just weren't paying attention. Cardi eats this kinda dismissal for breakfast with hot sauce. Now that we've laid out the actual receipts, let's start connecting the dots, because the timeline behind all this is wilder than the quotes themselves. Watch this sequence, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. That IG reel? Dropped in the same window Cardi was finalizing tour extension logistics for the Little Miss drama era. Not a coincidence. You don't publicly cancel a body modification trip during a rollout unless the cancellation is itself part of the rollout. The timing was surgical. Pun fully intended. The Billboard interview? That landed the week before the Knicks called her team about the halftime booking. Think about that. She had already told a major trade outlet that a 2026 album was incoming, then she walks into the biggest non-tour televised appearance of her year. That's not a victory lap for the old album. That's a stage to plant the flag for the next one. And anybody pretending those two dots aren't connected is choosing not to see. That Today Show warning. Originally aired years ago, but it's been recirculated across TikTok and Reels in heavy rotation over the last 90 days. Why? Because somebody on her digital team has been quietly reseeding that footage into the algorithm. That's a fingerprint. That's a strategy. Old footage doesn't just resurface, somebody pushes it. The "I told y'all" defense was being built before MSG even happened. Her statement about being tired of body talk hit the timeline mere weeks before the Knicks gig. So when the side angle clip exploded and her team stayed silent, that wasn't shock. That wasn't damage control malfunctioning. That was a team executing on a position she had already publicly staked. The silence was the strategy. They told you the play in advance and y'all still got faked out. Now let's talk about the album cycle math. Am I the drama? Dropped September 19, 2025. Standard major label playbook says the follow-up cycle starts gearing up roughly 9 to 12 months later, which puts the next teaser window, right around now. June 2026. Exactly when the MSG controversy is dominating every gossip page. So, opposition, really thought this was random? That's terrible strategic awareness, bruh. Nothing about this calendar is accidental. And here's a connection nobody else is making, the feature list for Am I the Drama? Already includes Summer Walker, Thee Stallion, Kehlani, Tyla, Janet Jackson, Selena Gomez, Cobain, and Lizzo. That's not a track list, that's a coalition. That's a deliberately stacked roster designed to absorb the next news cycle the second a follow-up single drops. Any smart strategist would have waited to launch the next phase right when the conversation was at its hottest. But strategic thinking isn't her detractors' strong suit, they think the noise is hurting her. The noise is the audience for the next drop. But here's where this gets even more interesting, because once you really break down what was said, you start hearing the hidden messages nobody else caught. Now check this out, nobody's talking about this layer. Go back to that Billboard quote where she said she's not doing a deluxe. Pause on the word deluxe. That word is doing heavy lifting. In modern rap business, refusing a deluxe is a flex. Deluxe drops are what you do when your campaign needs life support. Cardi explicitly opted out of that crutch. What she's actually saying there is, my next move doesn't need a band-aid, it's a brand new chapter. That's not a press release sentence. That's a chess move. And, opposition, really didn't catch that. That's embarrassing. Now zoom into the MSG performance choice itself. She didn't open with WAP. She didn't open with I Like It. She opened with Bodega Baddie, a new album cut. Why? Because Bodega Baddie is her most New York-coded track on the project. Streamed at MSG, in front of 30,000 Knicks fans, that single song selection is a regional power play. She wasn't performing for the broadcast. She was performing for the New York market she's about to flood with merch, brand tie-ins, and a follow-up single. That song order choice was a tell. If you had half a forensic eye, you would have caught it before the side angle clip went viral. Now let's talk about her body language at the close of the set. Watch the broadcast cut, not the leaked angle, and pause on her exit. She doesn't rush off. She doesn't hide. She walks. Slowly. Smirking. That's the posture of a woman who knows the cameras are still on her and wants them on her. While opposition, in the quote tweets was reading the headline, Cardi was writing the subtext with her feet. And here's the linguistic forensic that broke this whole thing open for me. Listen to how she's been speaking in interviews lately. count how many times she uses the word chapter. I clocked it across 3 different appearances. New chapter. Next chapter. This chapter. That's not a vocabulary tick. That word is being deliberately seeded. Artists and their PR teams preload language like that into the press cycle so that when the follow-up project drops, the framing is already in place. The word chapter is being walked into the room before the album walks in behind it. This is why Cardi is 10 moves ahead. Opposition is still figuring out move 1. And one more. Pattern recognition on her socials. She has not, I repeat, not, posted a single defensive video this week. No live rant. No tearful clapback. No, y'all need to stop. Instead, every post has been smiling, glammed up, new outfits. That's behavioral evidence. A woman who is hurt posts a clapback. A woman who is winning posts a fit pic. The absence of the expected behavior is the evidence. That's the kind of detail that tells you everything if you know how to read it. Now with all of that laid out, let's see how the media tried to spin this, because the way different outlets framed it tells you everything. Now watch the framing war. Yahoo Sports kept it neutral. They framed the halftime as headline making, zooming in on the Bodega Baddie placement and treating it as a career moment. That's the trade press lens. They're not interested in the discourse. They're interested in the booking. Their angle says one thing: this performance moved the needle. Marie Claire flipped the lens entirely. They framed her outfit as still a win for New York, leaning hard into the styling as a fashion statement: corset, scales pattern bustier, asymmetric texture, playing it as a deliberate aesthetic choice, not a wardrobe accident. Their angle says, this look was intended to be talked about. Read that twice. Then you've got the gossip blog circuit, and y'all know who I mean, that ran straight to the side angle clip and framed it as a takedown moment. Body discourse, BBL discourse, silhouette dissection. Their angle reduced an entire halftime spectacle to one foam camera frame. Predictable. Lazy. And exactly what her team was counting on them to do, because that framing is the engagement machine. Now some people are pushing the narrative that she fell off, that the styling proves her team is in disarray, that the cancelled DR trip means she's let herself go. Here's why that doesn't hold up. Some of her detractors are saying she's losing control of her image. But those are the same people who said she was finished after the invasion of privacy gap, the same people who said Am I the Drama? Would flop, and the same people who said WAP would never go diamond. Their track record is zero. The mainstream media is trying to spin this for the detractors, but the receipts don't lie. Yahoo's recap, Marie Claire's fashion framing, and the Billboard interview all point in the same direction: this woman is mid-campaign and her team is in formation. If you still think she's losing after all this evidence, you're not analytical, you're just biased. Imagine writing a defense of the "she's washed" narrative in 2026. Couldn't be me. But here's what nobody in the mainstream media is saying, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. Now everyone's saying this MSG moment is a fall. A flop. A fumble. They're saying her glam team failed her, her stylist sabotaged her, her body betrayed her on the biggest night of her year. That's the version every gossip page is selling you this week. But here's what they won't tell you. Here's the real story. This isn't about her body. This isn't about her stylist. This isn't even about that halftime show. This is about the most underrated strategist in modern hip-hop running a playbook the industry hasn't seen executed this cleanly since Beyoncé's Renaissance Rollout. And the proof isn't in what she did, it's in what she didn't do. A normal artist, in this situation, posts a clapback within 6 hours. A normal artist goes on live, half-drunk, crying, naming names. A normal artist deletes the clip, files a takedown, threatens lawsuits. Cardi did none of that. Cardi posted selfies. Cardi laughed in interviews. Cardi went about her week like she didn't even know the internet existed. That is not laziness. That is not defeat. That is a woman who has already filmed the response. Here's the angle nobody on the algorithm wants to feed you, because it costs them their outrage clicks. Cardi has figured out that in 2026, you cannot win the comments war. You can only redirect it. So she stopped trying to win it. She lets the comments do their job, keep her name moving, feed the algorithm, generate the searches, and when the moment is right, she cashes that attention in for a number one. This is the Bodak Yellow playbook upgraded for the streaming era. Nobody is rewriting his history because the real version isn't impressive enough, they're rewriting hers because the real version is too sophisticated for them to admit. The competition is not laughing right now. I promise you that. While every other female rapper this week is fighting for oxygen on the gossip pages, Cardi has owned every single feed for 5 straight days. That's not failure. That's dominance disguised as disaster. Every reaction video is a free trailer. Every drag tweet is a free billboard. Every dissection TikTok is a free focus group. The clip that embarrassed her has been watched more times in 72 hours than her last 3 music videos combined. Let that sit with you. And here's the part that should end the debate. The big moments in this industry, they don't happen by accident anymore. The system is too sophisticated. Every single time a major female artist has a controversial body moment that goes viral, there is a project waiting on the other side of it. Go look. 2019, 2021. 2023, the pattern is identical every time: drag, then silence, then teaser, then announcement, then release, then victory lap, then the interview where the artist gracefully says, "I let them talk and I focused on the work." That is the script. That is the entire script. And we are watching the first 2 acts of it right now in real time. Every quote tweet is a billboard. Every reaction is a trailer. Every comment section is a focus group. The artists who learn to lean into the chaos instead of fighting it are the ones who eat the next 12 months alive. Cardi has known this since 2017. The drag isn't the destination. The drag is the bridge. The detractors think they're handing her a loss, they're paving her a runway. They're playing checkers. She's playing 4D chess in front of an audience that thinks the moves are random. And that's the truth they don't want you to hear. So with all of that on the table, the real question becomes, what happens next? Here's what's most likely to happen. Within the next 30 to 45 days, a new single is gonna drop. Not a deluxe track. Not a leftover. A brand new lead single off the 2026 album she already told Billboard is coming. And when it drops, it's gonna be timed to the exact week the MSG discourse is peaking. The detractors are gonna try to escalate, but nobody's gonna care anymore. The song's gonna eat the conversation alive. The silence is gonna hurt them more than any clapback could've. Mark my words. Now if she goes a different route, if instead of a solo single, she drops a stacked collaboration first, it's over. The features pool from Am I the Drama? Alone hints at the firepower in her Rolodex: Megan Thee Stallion, Summer Walker, Janet Jackson. Imagine a follow-up single with one of them and a brand new feature she hasn't shown her hand on yet. The detractors are not ready for what happens if the right name lands on that track. The second that feature drops, every comment section that was clowning her this week becomes a comment section celebrating her. That's the power of the right collaboration at the right moment. She doesn't stand to lose either way. Looking at the bigger picture, 5 years from now, people are gonna look back at this MSG moment as the case study. It's gonna be the chapter they teach in marketing classes on attention economy strategy. The detractors are watching the culture move on without them in real time and they don't even know it. This is the moment her detractors' relevance dies, because once Cardi sets the precedent that you can absorb a viral L and convert it into a number one, every female artist behind her is gonna run the same playbook. She's not just winning her own war, she's writing the manual the next generation is gonna fight with. When the new single drops, the same people who spent this week dragging her are gonna be in the replies saying, "I always knew she had something coming." They didn't know. You knew. Because you sat through this breakdown with me. When the album campaign launches, expect a complete visual reset, new silhouette, new aesthetic, new energy, engineered to make every screenshot from this week look outdated overnight. When the tour announce hits, expect dates in markets she hasn't played in years, designed to convert the haters into ticket buyers, because curiosity sells tickets faster than loyalty ever has. And when the inevitable interview happens, late night, sit down, glossy magazine cover, she's not gonna mention MSG by name. She's gonna smirk, sip her drink, and say, "I let them talk." That's the closer. That's the punchline. 5 years from now, this'll be the L they wish they'd never thrown. Whatever path this takes, one thing's already clear. The detractors have already lost. They just don't know it yet. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering the real story, smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss when we expose what everyone else is too scared to say. Ring that bell for notifications. And if you want more truth bombs like this, click on one of these videos next. Trust me, you'll want to see what we found. And by the way, tomorrow we're dropping something wild about the mystery feature reportedly sitting in Cardi's vault right now. You do not want to miss that.